So for this question, it reads, an instructor asked 5 students how many hours they had studied for an exam with the accompanying results. Complete parts A through K below. And notice this instructor tip comes up. Beta is the same as R, the correlation coefficient. This is in the reading, but just to kind of put it in the front of your head when it asks for that. When they ask for beta, it'll be the same as R. And down here, so question F. Okay, so let's click on my icon to view the pair scores. And we need to find the linear prediction rule. That's the equation. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in StatCrunch. So with making this video, this is this hour studied. Let me make this a little bigger. Hour studied and test grade. So this hour studied really should be up here in the variable var1, and test grade should be var2. So it normally pulls in that way, but it didn't this time. So I'm going to change that just so I don't get messed up later on. And again, all I'm going to do is click up here and put in hour studied. Okay, and now I'm going to delete this row here. So to do that, I'm going to go to Edit, Rows, and Delete. And I'm going to delete this selected row. Okay, so now it's nice and clean. I like that. It would do it without it, but it would just call it var1 and var2. And I don't want to have to think about which one is variable 1 and which one's variable 2. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Stat, Regression, and Simple Linear. Okay, so we want to know hours studied. That's our predictor variable, and our response variable, well, the criterion variables, this book sometimes calls it, our test grade. And I'm going to have that fitted line in there. I like seeing that. And compute. And we can scroll over. We can see our line. Yeah, it's roughly linear with only 5 data points. Kind of hard to know. I think this text assumes you're going to be doing this by hand, and we're not doing this by hand. So here is our formula here. Test grade equals 45.66 plus 3.99 times hours studied. Okay, so I can put that in, 45.66. Plus the 3.99 times hours studied, which is X. Okay, not letting me check answer for some reason, but anyway, we'll just keep moving on. Draw the regression line and choose the correct graph below. So we know it's not B and D. I mean, if you just think about it, even if we didn't have the equation, right? This here says the more we study, the lower our test grade. That doesn't make any sense at all. So let's pull it up and see which one. It's either going to be C or A. So if we look at our graph, as the goes down, it's going to be, so if you don't study at all, you're going to get a little bit less than a 50, it looks like. So let's scroll over. And so it looks like we're on A. Because this one says if you don't study at all, you're going to get a 0. Well, I mean, you're probably going to get some just from prior knowledge or just from being in class or whatever. So A looks like it's right. Still not letting me check answer on this one. I might try to see if I can fix that by the time you guys do it. Use the linear prediction rule to figure out the predicted test grade of a student who studied for 3 hours. Okay, so on the calculator, just 45.66 plus 3.99 times 3. So that predicts 3 hours, predicts that I'm going to get about a 57.63. Now do the same thing for 8 hours. Now if you are using the TI, there's a little trick here. You can press second enter and it pulls up what you just did, so I don't type that again. And we'll press 8. We're going to get a 77.58. oops, sorry, I skipped one, 6 hours. So this is 77.58 is for 8 hours. And 6 hours, I need to go back and change that. So I'll press second enter, change that 8 to a 6. 69.6. Okay, determine the standardized regression coefficient. And again, that little teacher note, beta is just R. So let me come back here. R is 0.8, let's see, it says round to two places, 0.86. Okay, it says now explain what has been done in the previous parts to someone who understands the means and deviation scores but doesn't know about any more about statistics. Choose the correct answer below. Okay, so let's look at part A. An equation for predicting hours studied from test grades between 51 and 94 has been calculated. No, we're looking at the number of hours studied, right? So an equation for predicting test grade from the number of hours studied between 1 and 10 hours, so B is looking promising, has been calculated, graphed, and used to predict the test grade. And then we also, the quality of the equation is also a measure. That's what that 0.86 is. And then look at the other two. So I think it's going to be B, an equation for predicting hours studied from any test grade. No, definitely not. And from any amount of hours studied. Nope, only from 1 to 10 has it been done. So we don't want to go too far outside of that window. You can go a little bit, 11, 12, maybe even 13, but you can't use that to predict 30 hours of studying or something like that. So different behavior will occur. So we don't want to go too far outside of that window. So B looks like it's going to be it. Part H. Add the dots for the pairs of scores for 5 students to the figure from part B, and also add the regression line for the linear prediction rule y equals 60 plus 5.00x. Choose the correct graph below. Okay, so here it came up with this equation, and let's see. So we know it's not A and B, right? Those are both moving down. We've already graphed one, right? It looks like it's going to be D. So there's my graph that I graphed earlier in part A up here with my dots. And then this one here is, it's at 60, so it shifted up 60, and it's got a slightly bigger slope. My equation was around 45, so my equation looks like it's going to be much better. So D, and then let's see, part I. Which regression line does a better job of coming close to the dots in the figure for part H? So my regression line from part A that I actually computed, that does a better job, because it passes sort of roughly evenly between the dots, right? While the regression line from the one that they gave me, this new one, passes pretty much above all the dots, doesn't it? Okay, so at the very end, it's allowing me to check the answer. So it's kind of all or nothing, right? I wish it didn't do that, but maybe I can get them to change that. Good, got everything right.